My name is Christine Alfery, and I'm sharing with you some of the details of the artwork that I create in my studio. This artwork is part of my Just Because series, and the series is all about love. And for the entire winter of 2020, when we were all shut in, I painted flowers. They made me feel good, they made me happy. I live in northern Wisconsin, and it was nice when there was winter out that I painted these flowers. I painted this one towards the end of the winter as everything was beginning to open up and spring was coming in Wisconsin. And I called it, It's Time to Plant the Pots. And if you live in Wisconsin, the wonderful tradition is you bring your pots out, you put some dirt in, you smell the fresh dirt, and you begin to plant plants in them. So that's what I was doing. This is a big pot of flowers, and I'm a big pot that I can plant flowers in, and I've put all these wonderful plants in it that bring great joy. When you look at this piece closely, you can see that I've accomplished many different ways of mark making. It's one of the challenges I've given myself. I happen to like curved lines a lot. I like the circle a lot because it represents coming full circle and living in a circle. It represents life to me. And so these curved lines are very important. Abrupt, straight lines don't seem to work for me, but they really work nicely in a composition. So I started this piece out with some very straight lines. I put my wash on like I normally do, and you can see some of the straight lines that survived the painting of the flower work. I had, I think, tape down here. And then I painted over it, and then I lifted it off as I painted different parts of the piece. So these straight lines survived. This is becoming a very gestural straight line, and by that I mean I move my arms freely, and I don't need to have a ruler to make sure it's an exact straight line. I'm really not a ruler person, so while these make a great composition, they're sort of contrary to the freeness that I am as an artist. Over here you can see a lot of the detail that I brought out to bring the pot out. This is my favorite color lately, this teal color. Up here you can see I put little blocks of masking tape to create a sequence of squares, again, to try to bring out the straight lines, to emphasize straight lines in the work. But another challenge I gave myself was to make the composition go horizontal, make my marks go horizontal. So while I'm very comfortable with these curved lines, to make the marks go horizontal was always on my mind as I was doing the piece. I think the combination of the two really worked very nicely. And washes come through as long as very, very thick paint. I was also trying, I watered down some of my paint in here, and I was trying to make my own spray paint with water-based paint. It's very interesting what happens when you make your own. The nozzles clog up and they drip all over the place, but I'm still working on it. I guess you just can't control it. And because I'm kind of that way, I guess it works for me, because some of the pieces that I've done since then have some big drips that I've just left in there. So you can see my different mark making. You can see the round marks that I paint with my paint. So I have a tube, like a ketchup bottle, and I put white paint in it, and I squeeze it out, and I draw with it. And it usually is towards the end when I'm bringing out details in the work. But if you look closely, I mean, you can see all the things I added to the work as I was going through it. Like this leaf down here is a combination of white, a dry brush mark, very, very wet paint here. This one over here is a combination of yellow. I left my graphite pencil in here. Just worked out really cool. The red marks that I added later were ones that I thought, okay, how am I going to control the viewer's eye when they come in? Are they going to stay with this piece, or are they going to leave it? Are they going to feel really glad and think just because, and it makes them feel wonderful things? I wasn't guiding the eye, so subtly I put in these red marks that keep you in a circle as you're viewing the piece, and you don't leave it. But also the composition does that with this wonderful array of flowers. This piece is on an 8 by 8 foot wall. It's framed to be 36 by 48. I allow the edges to show on the paper. I don't trap them behind the mat because it is a sign that it's a really nice paper and that it's an original. I use 300-pound paper because it's heavy. I put a lot of paint on my work, and I can't afford to have it warp on me like that with thinner paper. So I'm very aggressive with my mark making, like here. But you can see it's a very, very big piece. If you put it in relationship to the stool, if I were to come and sit on the stool, you can actually see how big that piece actually is. So it occupies most of a wall. Look for videos as I do new works, and if you need a video done of a piece that I've already painted and haven't videotaped it yet, just email me at Christine@ChristineAlfery.com.